We're talking about a military family with 3 generations of service. So when asked to perform burials and arrange funerals for unclaimed veterans, the Masons were proud to do it. But after laying out thousands of their own money, they were instead buried in red tape when they tried to collect.
It's an honor earned by every deserving veteran, even those whose families can't afford it or aren't around to say goodbye.
You hear the bugle off in the distance there, and whether anybody's there or not, a tear comes to your eye.
Sometimes Roger and Christina Mason are the only ones there to see it or to accept the folded flag in an unclaimed veteran's honor.
And I think about it, it's just too hard.
But that affected you?
A lot, yes. Because of my own children and grandchildren, just because they served this country.
Roger Mason has been in the funeral business for 30 years, and in 2015, Washington, D.C.'s VA Medical Center asked him if he could help bury veterans who died there and were unclaimed. There wasn't even a question.
And I can see what scars they may have from war, so I can imagine what they went through. The veteran deserves this.
Veterans like Harry Tolson, who may not have been surrounded by his own family in later years, but had developed quite a fond church family.
Very colorful guy, always talking, always smiling. Never had a problem starting up a conversation with a stranger.
Pastor Jesse Richardson Jr. calls Mr. Tolson smart and opinionated. He talked so much about city politics, his Kenilworth neighbors called him the mayor. And when he died, his church family threw him a funeral as vibrant as the songs he'd belt out in the choir.
We loved him. One of the hardest homegoings of the church.
The pastor says the Masons were a huge part of making that happen.
I thought it was awesome. They have a love for what they're doing, but unfortunately, love won't pay the grocery bill.
In the last 2 years, the Masons have picked up 8 veterans, prepared their remains, purchased caskets, and arranged a ceremony at Quantico National Cemetery. They kept performing services even as the bills were racking up and the VA wasn't paying.
Put us behind a little bit. I'm sure there's some firms out there who would just say, well, we're not getting paid, we're not doing it.
But Christina says it isn't so much about the money as the principle and an honor these veterans deserve.
I would do it knowing that I wasn't getting paid for it. I would bury the soldier. But don't tell me we're in a business deal and then you don't hold up your end of the deal. That's different.
The couple spent months mired in paperwork, on phone calls, even in person, pleading for their payments.
We get run around instead of getting an answer.
Short of a few partial payments in 2016, they're still waiting on roughly $16,000.
These guys protected your country. They gave up their lives. They gave up their body parts. I'm very disappointed in the VA that now you won't take care of your own.
The News 4i team spent weeks tracking down who is responsible for the payments to the Masons, calling multiple agencies to find out what led to the holdup. After we started asking questions, the invoices were suddenly approved. A VA spokesman says the money is on its way.
It's something that should be addressed.
The Masons say despite the billing battle, they would do it all again.
They deserve to be buried. They deserve this honor.
The assistant director of D.C.'s VA Medical Center told me those funeral services should have been hired through a contract using a competitive bidding process. He wasn't sure why that procedure wasn't followed, but said it would be going forward to keep this from happening again. And we're happy to report this afternoon, the Masons finally received their money from the VA.